Welcome everyone to the first episode of Nerdistan, a podcast where we celebrate being nerds and being weird. I'm Manoj Mathi, your host, and joining me today is my co-host Jay Nair.
Hey Manoj, long time no see, huh?
We just talked like 10 minutes back.
Ish, the audience shouldn't be knowing that.
But I guess yeah, that's true. That's true. This is all improvised.
Yes, yes,
All on the spot. We are like masters of improv.
yes. Improvisation in double quotation.
Yeah. Okay, then you had some thoughts on this podcast, which are a little scripted, but go on.
Those are not scripted, Manoj. I'm the king of
Oh,
improvisation. You know, right?
oh, okay. So, could you improv a few
Yeah,
lines about our podcast?
of course, I can do that, Manoj. So, for all the viewers who are listening us for the first time, let me tell you something about our channel, Nerdistan. It's quite a unique name, if
Okay.
you all know. So, it is a channel about
Yeah.
two Indian nerds who love movie and TV series. So the
Hmm.
idea where we actually thought or talk about starting a podcast in hostel, like we used to talk about movie and TV series a lot. Like I remember
Yeah, a
talking
lot.
during whole night till 2, 3 in the morning. We were like laughing and
Yeah.
talking about movies.
And we didn't sit. For some reason, we were standing and
Yes,
talking. It was very weird.
yes, I remember the first.
For 3 hours straight, we stood and talked.
Yes, I actually remember that day pretty well because like I still remember we were talking about DC like Snyder Cut and that, and I don't know.
Yeah. We were talking about,
Yes,
and people were judging us.
yes.
They were like walking across and judging us.
And for some weird reason,
They're like, tomorrow there's a surprise test.
What are you guys doing? I mean, okay, that's a joke only Balajins will get, but still.
We are expecting other people also to listen.
yes, yes. And I remember one of those, like one of my hostel roommate told me that I think jokingly he said guys should start a podcast, and we look at each other and laughed about it.
Yeah, true.
Then unfortunately COVID-19 happened, so here we are with the podcast
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. Like it's unfortunate for the audiences, I think, that we started this podcast, but
Let them judge. Let them judge.
yeah, let them. So we don't really have a theme song or anything like that. So like it's a very professional podcast. That's why we don't have a theme song.
हाँ,
It's too professional. We are beyond theme songs.
हाँ.
So actually, we today we had decided to talk about the MCU. Like since it's been 1 year of Endgame, but uh, unfortunately, something really sad happened in the morning. Irrfan Khan, one of the most, I think, greatest actors that Indian cinema has produced, unfortunately passed away. uh, this news shook us off. Like we were not sure if we had to talk about this, but considering we celebrate movies in this podcast, we thought had to talk about this. So, Jay,
Yes,
your thoughts?
like today in the morning when I first read about it in the news, like there's news of Irfan Khan's demise. Like I was shocked
Yeah,
because a day before he just got admitted in the hospital. Like we all were really worried about it. Because like he
true,
had
true.
come a long way from his medical issues. No, he had cured cancer as well, so that was actually a big
Yeah,
fight he left and won it. And after that, when the news today got in the morning that like he unfortunately he
he
left,
passed away.
he passed away, like that was pretty heartbreaking for me.
Like, dude, for me it was like very shocking because last week I had appeared on another podcast. That's the only other podcast I've been to, and there we talked about Irfan Khan, and like it came randomly because we were talking about how Bollywood and Hollywood, like not Bollywood, but Indian cinema in general, was like collaborating with Hollywood.
Hmm.
So we were talking about like how Irfan Khan has appeared in many like English like Hollywood movies. So
Yeah.
I jokingly said that okay, maybe once Hollywood comes, like once they collaborate more, other artists would get a chance. Like Irfan Khan would get some rest from
Mhm.
acting in these Hollywood movies. And now after this news came, I was like completely shook over because I didn't mean it in any negative way. Like I meant it in a complete positive way because
Mhm.
for me, Irfan Khan is that global star. He's been that one actor who actually made it big in Hollywood, I would say. But just to hear this news, yeah, it threw me off completely.
Like
Which would you say is your favorite Irfan Khan performance?
it's pretty hard to like narrow it down to one, but I still have my favorites. I loved his
Yeah.
performance in Lunchbox, Pan Singh Tomar.
Oh my God. That Lunchbox was such a beautiful movie.
Like, do you know there is a trivia behind that movie? Like, he got an offer from Christopher Nolan Interstellar, but
Yeah, Interstellar.
uh,
Yeah, I read
but
that.
he refused to do that
I
movie.
I think it was Matt Damon's role in Interstellar.
Yes, yes, actually it is. And
Yeah,
due
and
to his early commitment to the lunchbox, he decided not to do it.
true.
Now, if
Yeah,
that doesn't tell about the character of that person as an actor and as a man of its
true.
commitment, I don't know what else. Like in a
True,
time
true.
when like whole world and world cinema is being fascinated and being awestruck by Christopher Nolan work and Hollywood especially,
True, true.
that man
True,
could
true.
have like left that movie and went with the Interstellar, but he didn't. That's why people respect him
Yeah,
more than anyone else in the industry.
yeah.
And
I mean, look, even like I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan.
yeah,
So I mean,
same.
I like him calling you for a movie is like a huge deal. Like when
True.
he wants you to be part of a movie, it's a huge deal. And for him to actually not go for that and actually, stick with Indian cinema because of his early commitments, I think that's commendable from him.
True, true. And that also turned out to be a great, like, for a career changer for him as well, the Lunchbox. Because
True,
Lunchbox
true,
was the first, I think it's the only Indian movie to have ever won a Toronto Film Critics Association Award.
true, true. I mean, the audience who is listening to this, if that fact is wrong, just correct us in the comments, or let us know in Twitter or Insta if that was right. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. And Lunchbox was a game changer for like there's one movie that I absolutely adore of Irfan Khan,
Which one?
and that's a bit of a multi-starrer. It's Piku.
Oh my
Like
god.
for me, those scenes with Amitabh Bachchan and Irfan Khan,
True.
those scenes are just beautiful.
Like, the thing which I loved about most about Irfan is like he acts in a way which isn't a typical form of acting which we are habituated to see, but it's the
True, true,
perfect
true.
form of acting. Like
It's
he
a very
acts,
subtle way of acting, I
yes,
would say.
exactly. He responds in a certain way, like it is happening to
True,
him for the first time. He has not read
true,
any script
true,
before.
true,
He's just now responding to the current circumstances. That is the greatest thing about
true,
him.
true.
True. I totally agree. I totally agree. I mean, for me, I think even in movies like D-Day, which not many people have seen, I think it's a pretty underrated movie. That's a movie where his character goes through a character arc, which is pretty gripping and pretty sad. And there is potential there for him to go all over dramatic, but he still remains grounded in that movie, which I think is a sign of an outstanding actor. I think this world will definitely miss him, but I think he has left immortal impact for generations to come.
True.
Like I think everyone is going to remember Irfan Khan
Yeah,
and in his career. Like in Twitter today, I saw like I think Colin Trevorrow, I think the director of Jurassic World, who he worked with, he also like I saw many tweets today about Irfan Khan, like
from all
from
over the
all over the
globe.
world.
Yes, for the globe. Yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, that just filled my heart with a lot of pride. Like I'm like an Indian actor is actually making it
Yeah.
so big.
Like I'm actually glad you brought Jurassic World up. There is one more trivia I want to share with my like audience. Like in the
Okay.
1990s, when the first Jurassic Park released, now Irfan really wanted to
Hmm.
see that movie, but he couldn't afford to
Okay.
spend money on watching that movie. So from not
Okay.
able to watch that movie to owning
To
Jurassic
actually being
Park,
part of it.
to
Yeah,
actually
true,
owning, to
true, true.
playing a character who owns Jurassic Park,
Yeah,
if that's not inspiring for
true,
the
true,
people and for me personally, I don't know what is. Like such a
true, true,
brilliant
true.
thing. Like it's like same Tom Holland thing. He grew up watching
Yeah, yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
and he one day he
True,
appeared. And Andrew Garfield
true,
as
true,
well.
true. Yeah, very, very true, very true.
Hmm.
I think this world will definitely miss his performances. I mean, I would definitely. always be looking out for him to pop up in some movie, even if he has passed away.
Yeah.
Like that's the impact I think he has left on all of us.
I just completed Angrezi medium, and the last shot of that movie is like Irfan smiling, and that image is still
Oh man,
stuck in my head. Like I just watched that movie
that's
a couple of days before,
true.
and like that smile of his, like man, I'm really missing him.
True, true. So, it's such a wonderful actor. I mean, like when I heard the news, I was absolutely gutted. That's when I messaged you, like, we should talk about him as well today.
Yeah.
Like we had planned, like honestly, like we had planned to do this podcast a long time back.
Hmm.
Like not long time, but for 1 week now we have been talking about this. So like
Yes.
finally we decided on the date today, and yeah, we had to talk about this. I mean, or it would have been very disrespectful.
Yes, and I actually
Yeah,
was pretty nervous talking about him because you don't know how people will take this. Like we,
yeah, yeah. True, true.
like this is our first podcast, and I was not sure about
Yeah,
like
it's a
whether.
very sad way to like start a podcast, but
Uh,
I thought it was the right way to do it.
yes, yes, this was definitely the right
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the audience will say. I mean, like, you never know. Like, we might get many comments.
way. True, true.
I mean, from the grand total of two people who are going to listen to this, because I don't think there's anyone in this planet that loves me enough to listen through this entire podcast. Okay, okay. So now shifting to a bit of a lighter tone now.
Yes.
Today, so we're going to talk. It's basically the celebration of MCU. We're basically going to focus on Infinity War and Endgame since it's been 1 year of Endgame. But we're going to start off with what the MCU means to us. Like, how did the MCU first come to us? Like, how were we introduced to the MCU? So, do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
Yeah, yeah. You go first.
Okay, so you already know this. I was a huge DC fan. Like,
Yeah.
even now I am.
Mhm.
So, the MCU started in 2008.
This was when the Dark Knight released, which for me, Dark Knight is still like the ultimate movie. Like that impact that movie has left on me is like unheard of. Like literally, like it impacted me for my entire life. Like the 10-year-old watching that movie was impacted me all my life. But so that's when the MCU started. So initially, I was like, it's okay. It's like normal superhero movies. Like it's a fun time. I didn't really attach much importance to the MCU, but I think slowly, as each movie started coming out, you could see like it was almost like a puzzle coming together.
Like, you'd see different parts, and then that's when all, like, especially when the Infinity Stones started showing up,
Oh yeah.
I start getting more and more excited. I'm like, oh, okay. So is it all like going to come together? And I think once Infinity War came out, I was like, because the one thing I thought the MCU really lacked was that epic feeling. Like every MCU movie, like it had the same kind of trajectory.
Mhm.
Like the hero comes, or even the team up movies. Like a villain comes, they come all together and they defeat him. But Infinity War like spun that around, like by having them lose. And for me, like that was the most defining moment for me in the MCU, and that made me a fan. Like I like I grew up on characters like Batman, Superman, the DC characters. Like I grew up watching the Batman the animated series, Justice League. So I always have that kind of connection with those characters. But the MCU has created a connection for me with the cinematic interpretations of these characters. I'm
Uh,
still not a fan of the comics that much,
hmm.
but the cinematic interpretations now is very close to me. Okay, now you go.
Like my first memory of MCU is the time in 2012 Avengers 1 got released, right?
Yeah, yeah, 2012.
So I was like, how much old that time? 12, 13, 12, 13 around. So me and my friends was the.
You just revealed your date of birth.
Is that a like big problem? I'm still
No, no, it's completely fine. But you can say the date also. You might get some birthday
I
wishes,
didn't know. No, I
like
don't
from
know.
the listeners.
So you want to say I will get birthday wish from you because you are the one listening?
Yeah, I mean, it's me, right? So you still won't get.
So,
Okay, continue.
uh, so I still remember the time me and my friends watched Avengers in the cinema, and I still couldn't believe what I saw after that when I done watching that movie, I was like, what did I just saw? Because before that,
True.
I don't know anything about like Marvel in general or Iron Man or
Mm,
anything. Like whatever they
yeah.
were showing, I was seeing for the first time. Like an Indian new kid, like who was fascinated by Hollywood and science fiction, like oh
True.
superheroes. They were like, so it was like pretty immense full experience, I would like to say. After that,
Yeah.
then I started watching MCU. Like that time, it was not supposed to be a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those were like pretty standalone Marvel movies. I still remember like going back to Iron Man in 2008 and watching that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody
I
would
mean, they had. I mean, Iron Man 1 ended with that post-credit scene of Nick Fury coming.
have. So they
So,
were.
I mean, they were setting the
Huh,
seeds for it, but
yes, yes,
nothing was sure.
sure. Like that's why Iron Man is said to be the game changer for Marvel because it was a hit or miss
Yeah. Yeah.
opportunity for
Obviously.
both Marvel and Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr.
Yeah.
If
True. True.
that movie hasn't worked, I don't know, we would have seen even
Yeah.
like
n- Nothing would have worked. I mean, it. See, if Iron Man didn't work, I think Marvel would be in the same state DC is now
true,
with their
true,
movies, where it's like you
more
have some successful, some unsuccessful, and
and less
like
dark too.
not. Yeah, I mean, like we'll talk about DC next week. I
Okay,
think
okay.
hopefully.
Yes.
Today we'll stick with Marvel. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, are you done, or should we go to Infinity War now?
Yes, yes, we can go to Infinite War.
Okay. So, we're going to start. We're going to talk about Infinity War and Endgame mainly today. So we'll start with Infinity War. Okay. So I guess you go first this time.
So, see, Infinity War, the big payoff, which was supposed to be the big payoff of MCU, the Thanos and
Yeah.
Infinity Gems, Infinity Stones, everything finally
Yeah.
coming to an end. Like Infinity War, like even the Russo brother agreed that Infinity War was not an Avengers movie; it was a Thanos movie. It was a movie from Thanos'
I
point of view
absolutely agree.
because the whole movie, the more screen time, only Thanos got the most screen time of all the characters which
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
present in that movie. So that was
Yeah.
like for the first time, like as you said earlier, like Marvel was lacking, or it was getting monotonous. After a while,
Yeah, like you kind of got the gist of it. Like
yes,
you were like, okay, the villain will come and then he'll
hmm,
cause some havoc, and then the team would come and destroy him. Like that was the pattern which they were following.
they teased a kind of bit like in Avengers Age of Ultron promo. I really thought that in that, like Ultron would really crush them and like
Yeah,
beat them, but
and like true. I mean, and they casted James Spader in the role of Ultron,
uh,
and he's a very talented actor. Like I
true.
used to watch him in Boston Legal growing up, and
Uh-huh.
he was such a charismatic actor there. So I was like, I remember me and my friend in school, we both were so excited. And I'm not saying Ultron was a bad character. I think the movie is serviceable. It's still a decent movie, but it didn't leave that impact that you
Yes,
hoped it would.
like they could have done much more. Like the things, the
Yeah.
nightmare sequence for like take example in the promos they shown the nightmare sequence in which the like the Captain America
Ah,
shield
yeah,
is
yeah.
broken and Thor is like
True, true, true,
Hulk
true.
is somewhere else. So with
Yeah.
and Marvel has done a pretty good job messing with people's head by doing CGI cuts, which they have done
Yeah.
most in Infinity War. Man, I still remember the
Yeah, yeah. They really mess with people's mind.
I truly I still remember the way the Infinity War trailer part one ended, like with the shot of Captain America Hulk all running towards the screen. And we were like, me and my friends were waiting to see that moment, like finally when they all will run. And the movie ended without
Mm.
that scene. I was like,
Okay, they lost.
they really messed up this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I think like for me, Infinity War is the best looking Marvel movie. Like I feel like the Marvel movies usually have that problem of looking very flat
Mm.
in terms of colors, but Infinity War I think gets it absolutely right. I mean, from the different planets that we visit to like the last Wakanda battle, like the Wakanda battle is so good because you feel that struggle, you feel the messiness of it. Like when you see Cap and Black Panther running and like they're like dirt all flying here and there, like you really feel that grounded, even in spite of aliens and all being there, you feel it feels very grounded. I feel like no other Marvel movie or even a superhero movie has achieved that. Like I'll just compare with Endgame. Endgame's end battle is absolutely spectacular, but that because the background looks a little CGI and all, but the Wakanda battle looks so real. Like because the setting itself looks so grounded.
Hmm. So,
Yeah, so I mean, like that's one thing that I absolutely love.
see, Infinity War was definitely like in single word. If I have to describe that movie, it was breathless. Like things were
Yeah, yeah, oh
happening
my God.
back to back. Like for
Which,
me, like
which is, yeah, yeah, continue, continue.
just imagine the very first scene. Like you entered into the theater and you watch with your popcorn and
Yeah,
coke, and the very
yeah,
first scene that came to the screen is like the whole of Asgard is like burning in the space. Like with the Thor
yeah,
Ragnarok post-credit scene ended with the Thanos ship coming,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
we are seeing the footage like Thanos and the Black Order is standing there, and Thor is lying there. So I was like, what just happened? They just started from it.
yeah.
I mean, what? This is how you wanna
It just
start?
went on in a bang.
Yes, I was like the whole. I mean, not me alone. The whole theater was like, "Oh my god, this is really
Same,
happening."
same, same for
And
me.
I was actually kind of happy because, as you said, na, like Marvel was not having that a powerful or strong enough villain who were like ready to challenge
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
And now, finally, after like 20 movies, we finally have that villain, and now seeing that was terrorizing, but it was satisfying as well because see, the heroes
yeah,
are
yeah, true.
heroes because one day they will beat the villain, but how? That's the main issue.
Yeah, yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, I feel like it's a miracle. It's a miracle how good Thanos be, like how good they pulled off Thanos,
Yes,
like as a character in that. Like you could empathize with him. You could understand like what he's going through, which I feel like not many movies can do with their villains. Which it's really good. It's spectacular what they did with Thanos.
many people got connected to
Uh
Thanos as well because of the ideology he shared with that. Like, we
yeah,
do
yeah,
have
true, true.
limited resources, so we have to
Yeah,
do something about it because one day there
yeah,
isn't enough.
true, true. Infinity War, it begins with that scene in which Loki dies,
Hmm.
which was absolutely like heart shattering for me also. Like
Yes,
I was like,
man. Like
no,
the second they
why
killed Loki,
why are you doing that?
like that was the time I realized this is not Marvel anymore. This is something
This is
else.
a real one. Like
Yes, the stakes are
this is
actually
not
higher
just
this
a
time. Like people were saying
yeah,
that
yeah.
no, no, he's not killed. He will come back again. But then I saw like the
He
blood is
didn't
coming out of his nose, and I was like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
this time he's really gone.
And even Thanos even says no restrictions this time.
Yes, yes, absolutely,
That pretty
yes.
much sealed his fate, I think. Like,
Oh,
and then we go to Earth, and for me, I love the sequence where Tony Stark, like where they're inside Doctor Strange, that
yes.
whatever that place is, like, and like
So one
yeah,
thing, like when the Mark Ruffalo character was shown in the movie, na, like he doesn't ask
yeah,
anything about Captain or anything else. He was just into Tony, like Tony, Thanos is coming. We have to reunite. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
and that
yeah.
the moment, like
And like,
it
what
was
a
like,
start! Like he just crashes there,
yes,
and Doctor Strange just looks at him, and he's just like Thanos is coming, and then they cut to the time.
yes,
It's so
yes.
great.
Seriously, and the
It's
expression in
such an epic
the
feeling.
expression in Tony Stark's face tells us about everything. Like he realized
Yeah,
the
yeah.
gravity of that moment.
He's been waiting for this attack to happen.
Yes, in the
Like he has known there is someone out there.
yes, in the Age of Ultron, we got a tease from the makers when he says that
Yeah, yeah,
we can control everything here, but that right
yeah.
there,
And
pointing at the
actually,
sky.
all of that comes in Endgame.
Yes.
He talks about all of that in Endgame again.
Hmm. In Ultron,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Like, continue.
he points up the sky and told that right there is the end game. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in Infinity War, when he finally realized the threat is real and it's coming. Oh my God,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. It's really like it's I that sequence of Tony Stark like walking out and the camera like goes with him and it
uh-huh.
starts like shaking because
Uh-huh.
it's like the camera's on handheld
Uh,
and like people are all falling all over the place and like there's this destruction everywhere. I absolutely adore that scene because you really feel the stakes there. Like it doesn't feel like a normal like it doesn't feel like Avengers 1
yes.
where everything was a lot more polished. This one, like, it feels dirty, it feels messy, and I absolutely love that. Like, and the entire battle, I think the best thing about Infinity War is that all the set pieces, the action set pieces, the action scenes, all of them feel unique.
Yeah.
Like, you can clearly separate one action scene from the other. Like, you can see, oh, in the New York battle scene, these are the stuff that happened. In the Wakanda battle scene, these are the stuff that
In
happened.
the
Like, I
Titan
feel like,
one, Titan one was the best
yeah, in
one.
the Titan one, that's what happened. Like, they managed to create so many unique aspects into each action scene that all of it, like, it just improved the movie as a whole. Like, in Age of Ultron, I don't remember the different action scenes. Like, I feel like all of it feels very generic to me in Age of Ultron. But in Infinity War, like, everything feels so, like, distinct and special. All the fight sequences.
And one more thing which I like had my doubts about Infinity War, like before Infinity War, we were not shown all these characters at one
Yeah,
place.
yeah, yeah,
Like there were so many characters which never
yeah,
saw
yeah,
others for the they were being shown to each other for the first time in
yeah,
Infinity War. Like Tony and Strange, like Mark Ruffalo and
yeah, yeah,
Strange,
yeah. And
Spidey
they
and
use
Strange,
that to their
Spidey.
advantage. Like they use the fact that they don't know. Like
Yes,
they put so much humor in there that like it's beautiful the way they manage to make that happen.
yes, like I was surprised how they managed to pull it off
Yeah,
so much humor from that movie. Like I was totally not expecting
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
from Russo brothers because Infinity War was and it had its element. Like it was dark when it supposed to be, but there were humor
I
as
mean,
well.
dude,
Man,
the
that
scenes
whole
between Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy are like,
they were the best, man, best. And you know how it is best because you know for the fact that James Gunn has written the
yeah,
dialogues
yeah,
of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I was so
Yeah, I mean,
James Gunn and
yeah,
Taika
yeah,
Waititi
yeah. It's you can
loved it,
really feel it.
loved
Like
it. The whole-
those scenes are so organic, and it doesn't feel out of
So
place.
true.
Like I feel like those scenes, you would think it's out of place in a movie like Infinity War, Peter Quill imitating Thor. Like in any other movie, it would have been
Oh
very flat, but
yeah.
here everything makes sense. I don't know why.
It does.
It's
That's the beauty of that
like,
movie. Like
yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of Marvel in general,
so
that
true.
they can pull off these
Unthinkable.
really comedic scenes,
Hmm.
like really comedic scenes, in spite of having a lot of stakes to it. I feel like initially Marvel probably was criticized for that, like not having enough stakes. But I think after Infinity War and Endgame, you can't really criticize them for not having
No, no,
stakes
I did.
in their movies.
Especially the way they ended Endgame. You can't just raise
Yeah,
that question, man.
yeah, true. And we have to talk about Thor's entrance to Wakanda in the last battle.
Uh, in all the Marvel movies, I'm saying for this fact, like that Thor entry in
Is
Wakanda is the most
Yeah,
Yeah,
epic
I mean,
scene.
you know what makes the scene so special? It's because we see his struggle before to get that Stormbreaker. Like you
Yes.
see, and that scene is
Hmm.
so beautifully directed. Like you see him struggle, you see him fall, and then you see the hammer being formed, and you see Groot like chopping his arm off for the handle. It's like so well directed.
People people actually connected with Thor at that point
Yeah,
of time because
true,
before
true, true.
Thor is the god of thunder, but he has the most
Yeah,
defeats
yeah,
as
yeah.
compared to
Like
other
I
Avengers. He
absolutely
lost his
love that.
father.
Like what they did with Thor.
He lost his
Yeah, yeah,
father.
continue.
Yes, he lost his
Yeah,
father. He lost
yeah.
his mother. He lost
It's the
his
entire
brother.
planet.
He lost
Yeah,
half of
almost is
Asgard. Half
yeah,
50%
half
of
the half.
Asgard. Then he should have quitted,
Yeah,
but he didn't because that
yeah, yeah,
rage to as he said in Thor Ragnarok, they are the
yeah,
Revengers. So he have to take revenge. And that moment where like he was ready to
yeah,
sacrifice
yeah, yeah,
himself
yeah.
for
True.
one chance and that as you said Groot
Yeah,
chop off his hand, man, that scene. And when we finally arrived now, like with the thunder and all
yeah,
that, and when he says bring me Thanos, believe me man, when I'm saying this, actually me, when I was sitting in the theater along with me, at least 30 to 40 people stood up from their chair and like they were screaming just bring Thanos now.
and I think there was also a scene before. I forgot to mention this. Like, there's a scene between Thor and Groot where Thor just talks about his life. Like he's like, like I lost my mother, I lost my father, I lost. Like that scene is like the first time you're seeing him so weak. Like he's just
It's true.
talking about his failures there. And I think that scene Chris
Hmm.
Hemsworth's acting is really good in that scene.
And that just after that group, like Rocket comes and like tries to be a father
Yeah,
figure
yeah,
or
yeah.
mentor figure
Trying to be
for
a
him. That
captain.
scene was, yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. I mean,
It's really
in fact,
it's a beautiful moment there. I think the only problem I have with Thor like being in that battle is that when Thanos comes eventually, he takes too long to get there. Like I wish they had just shown a scene of Thor doing something else, like where he's in a place where he can't come out. That's why like Thanos is like basically crushing Vision. Like I like the whole time I was like,
uh,
where is Thor? And he comes after he plucks the stone from Vision. Like I
hmm,
don't know, like this is a small nitpick, I
uh,
guess, but still.
I think when I think about that scene, Thanos didn't make a grand entry
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah. True, true,
Wakanda.
true. I guess.
He uses the space stone and just
Yeah,
arrived
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So only the people who were there in the sight of
Yeah, but
him only got
yeah,
to
and
see
I
them.
guess
There was no
Thor was not
shouting and
interconnected with like he didn't have a headpiece
yes,
or anything, right?
when
Because he
yes,
just came.
exactly. And when definitely like Black Panther and Captain America were trying to like not fight, obviously, but like trying to get in the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
of Thanos, he would have realized that there is a portion of battle which like got totally silent. Why is
yeah,
this?
yeah. Probably.
Then maybe
Yeah,
he would have
probably.
that he is
I mean,
here.
because it was more of frustration of like, come on, we had to get Thanos.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I get
I think that's what it
like
created. Like this is the first time where the audience was so engrossed in a movie that they were like, "Oh crap, why?"
yes, exactly. People were actually complaining
Yeah,
about, yeah, Quill,
yeah.
why have you done this?
Okay. Any more thoughts on Infinity War before we move on to Endgame? Yeah.
Yes, actually. See, there are so many. There is one particular scene I want to talk about, which was supposed to be included in the movie,
The
but
Hawkeye
it was
scene.
cut out from it.
Okay.
No, I am talking about including the Living Tribunal.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Do you know
Yeah.
about it?
Just walk me through it.
Okay, see, while the Eminem, the writer of the
Yeah.
Infinity War and Endgame, Christopher
Hmm.
Marcus and Stephen McFeely, they actually had, for a brief moment of time, they had the idea of including the Living
Okay.
Tribunal. For those who don't know who Living Tribunal is a cosmic entity which whose role is to kind of safeguard the multiverse from an imbalance of mystical
Okay.
forces. So he's like a judge. You can say a kind of judge who like sees the imbalances in the
Okay. Okay.
multiverse. So he decides who is doing like if anything tries to hamper the multiverse or the peace
Okay.
between it, they go in between and try to
Okay.
stop them. So in Doctor Strange, there was this scene where the Ancient One touches the forehead of
Yeah. Yeah.
Doctor Strange, and he went in the whole LSD
Yeah.
phase. So so there was supposed to be a similar scene in the Titan sequence
Okay.
where Strange was supposed to touch the head of Thanos, and he tried to show him like the whole thing he did, like the killing,
Yeah.
massacre. So kind of guilt. So he will feel kind of guilt, and at the end, Living Tribunal will show up, and he will like they will ask Thanos, and they will judge
Okay.
him.
But I guess it
So
was a bit too much in this
so
movie, I
like
guess. Yeah.
exactly that,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
will be confused. See, I am like very curious about
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
those, so I go ahead and try
Yeah.
to read about these things. But most of the people, the audience
True.
won't read about. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
use the
True.
celestial
True. True.
that
I think
here.
one thing we forgot to talk about was
uh,
Gamora. Yeah, like her character and the
Gamora.
entire thing with the Soul Stone, I thought was like really hauntingly beautiful. Like it's like you have to sacrifice someone to get the stone. It's like,
Ex-
man,
that actually, for me, who isn't personally not like not very much connected to Gamora, but I really
Yeah,
felt her
yeah, true,
emotion
true.
that time when she, like the whole sequence in the Neverville was there. No? What was the name of? I don't remember the name of that
Warmer, I
place
think.
where Red Skull shows up and they were
Warmer,
Warmer,
yeah.
Warmer. Oh, right, right, right. So, and when Red Skull tells that a soul for a
Yeah,
soul,
yeah, yeah.
Gamora laughed at there's nothing you will ever love in
Hmm.
this. Now you have like totally, and then Thanos start crying, and Gamora is like, "Why he's crying?" Then Red Skull
Yeah,
tells
yeah.
her that there is something or someone he
Care for,
actually
yeah.
loves, and when he like that scene, oh
And
shit!
even the
Like
musical score in
when he
that scene is
blew up
beautiful.
from the
The
orchestral was used
Yeah,
in
it's
such a
it's
good way, man.
beautiful, man.
Yes,
That I actually Marvel movies have been criticized for their music. Like it's been criticized for not having defining
yes,
music, but I think in Infinity War and Endgame, some of the scores in that movie, in those movies, were very special.
but I still have complaints for the music because they're still not that. I think maybe it's because of like they have taken the cinematic view or experience to that level. They're not able to match with the
True.
music. I think.
Yeah, I think the problem is that the characters in Marvel, they don't have distinct themes or
Like for example, even when Thor made that grand entrance in Wakanda, the Avengers theme was used, which it was
Huh.
fitting. It was fitting.
Yes.
Like I would say, like it is pretty fitting. But at the same time, you're like
Hmm.
Thor doesn't really have a like. I'm pretty sure he has in his own movie. I'm pretty sure there is a score for him, but we
Hmm.
don't know it. Like it's not as distinct.
Yes, especially when you're talking about like we all know that there is a scene and the background score or the score which is composed for that scene elevates that scene to a
Yeah,
next level. But in Marvel movies, the scene is
yeah.
already
I mean,
pretty epic.
I would
So
argue
they
like
are
in a few
definitely
places, like when they put the Avengers background tune, it kind of elevates it more, little bit at least.
they yes, yes, it does, but it
Yeah,
could
yeah,
have
yeah,
done
true,
more.
true.
Like I want to go off topic for
Yeah,
like one minute just when in Batman versus Superman
yeah,
when
makes her
Wonder
entry. Yeah, yeah.
Woman make her
It's
entry
beautiful.
with
Yeah,
that music.
dude.
Oh
It's yeah.
God,
We'll be talking
that
about that next
scene
week.
man is like no. Ah, yes, come back to MCU.
I
It
mean,
will be a
look, I can
long
talk as much
podcast
as
then
I want,
after
but
all.
like, first of all, no one's going to listen to this, and if it's like 3 or 4 hours, even we won't listen to it.
Seriously, seriously, we have to wrap it up soon. Uh, I'm still feeling like there is a lot to talk about
Yeah, I
Infinity
think we
War, but
covered all the
yeah, pretty much
major
all the big things I've covered.
beats of it, I guess. So I guess
a good way to segment from Infinity War to Endgame would be that the Hawkeye scene, which was how Endgame opened, was actually first shot for Infinity War.
I
yeah,
couldn't think of any else introduction scene. Like that was definitely it kind of gives you the
yeah,
same mood where
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Infinity War
Like it
left.
hit you,
Like the
like
sad,
it hit
the
you
heroes
right
are
in the
really
gut.
gone.
Like when you saw like his entire
Huh.
family vanishing.
Yes.
Yeah, that was man. That was really
Hmm.
scary. Like
There's the opening, there's a scene in Endgame. There's a very melodious music that plays.
in the starting, and it's also there in the ending
Hmm.
when in Iron Man's funeral. It's so beautiful. Like that score is just absolutely beautiful. Like it plays in the starting when Tony's in the ship all alone, and then it plays in the end as well. It's beautiful.
Hmm. That scene. Hmm. Like
I
I'm
know.
a like crazy Iron Man fan. I just love him. Uh, like like I want to go
Yeah,
back to Infinity War for this saying one thing. Like in the when the first time
yeah.
when the first time I was watching Infinity War in the theater now, I was only worried about one thing: if or if
I knew
not,
he
Tony
wouldn't
will
survive.
survive
I
this.
was damn
You
sure.
know, I know it. I don't know, man. At that time, I was really scared, especially
Oh,
when
in Infinity
Thanos
War.
actually stabbed him. Now I was like, oh no,
Yeah, yeah.
don't kill Tony, please don't kill Tony. When like Strange actually exchanges,
The stone, the time stone.
and I was so relieved that I know it's going to sound pretty bad, but please, if anybody is listening, I'm a huge Tony Stark fan. For me,
Yeah.
Tony Stark is MCU. So when that snap happened, the post
Yeah,
snap, when we lost heroes, I was not that terrorized and sad.
you're so
I
bad,
know
man.
it sounds
Seriously, like
really bad,
Spider-Man
but
fans are crying over here.
again, I know, and believe me when I say this, I cried 10 times
Oh
harder,
yeah,
100 times harder in
I read
Endgame
that. I
than.
mean,
I would definitely recommend that the listeners of the show, like there are no one, but still, the listeners of the show would check out Jay's Twitter handle, where he has written a long thread. He's written a long thread about his experience of watching Endgame, and it's quite a read.
And from that writing that thread, I came to know about one thing that max. You know how many tweets you can add into a
how
thread?
did
That
you?
is 25. After that, the Twitter like yes, Twitter told me we can't add any more single tweet to this thread. Make another thread. That's why I decided to end it. Otherwise, I could have gone for other 25.
Oh, I think this podcast was a mistake then. I think you're just going to vent out all your emotions and feelings over here.
So that I don't know why I decided to write that thread. That was like I wanted to take that off my heart
Yeah,
because it's been 1 year to
and
end
you
game,
couldn't
and
find
that
any nerds
is I'm still not
like
able to cope up
listen
with this.
you
That
out.
yes, yes, exactly. So,
Yeah, so now you can
so
literally
finally we
just
have a
channel out
podcast.
all
I
your
can
like
share. I'm feeling much better now.
frustrations in life. Dude, but I thought I was not that heartbroken. I was because I saw it coming, but I was very satisfied because I was like, dude, that's from 2008 till Endgame, like from the
First
first.
Iron Man movie, and I'm like, what a journey for a hero. Like I thought it was very beautifully done. I feel
No,
like, especially from a writer's point of view, like I think where Endgame really excels is that they managed to give each of those original six characters something very important. Like they, like for example, like you had Iron.
Mhm.
We talked about Iron Man, but like you had Iron Man meeting his dad. I mean, those scenes were just beautiful. Like I thought, like it was so
oh,
good,
that's
so well written. You're still crying.
yes, and
Okay,
that
then we'll
small
move
Easter.
from Tony Stark. Okay, like
I really liked those scenes between Thor and his mother. I thought it really gave a lot of emotion to his character. Like you felt a lot of emotion. Like it was very humbling to see a god stripped down to that level and be so humble and talk about his failures.
I'm glad you brought this thing up. I really wanted to talk about the way Russo
yeah,
decided
yeah,
to
yeah.
go with the character of Hulk and Thor, because like after watching Endgame now, I heard many complaints from people like they kind of
Uh,
misuse Thor and
I
so
absolutely loved Thor's arc. Like being someone who is out of shape,
yeah, man.
it inspired me.
But
No,
hey,
but seriously, I thought it was very heartening. I really liked Thor's arc throughout the movie.
I loved it. That was a
Yeah,
perfect way to go on with the character because
yeah,
by the
yeah, yeah.
end of Infinity War, like just like I told, to beat Thanos in Infinity War, like he went on even to sacrifice. He was ready to sacrifice himself to
Yeah,
wield
yeah, true.
Stormbreaker. So after like
Yeah,
he he couldn't kill Thanos, and that whole
yeah,
guilt it surrounded him
yeah,
completely. Like he lost it. He
yeah,
had the opportunity to take revenge on
yeah,
the biggest enemy that he has ever faced. He
yeah.
lost everything and he couldn't kill Thanos. That guilt surrounded him, so he
True.
like lost everything. He lost his
Yeah,
hope. He lost his power. Lost his sense of responsibility. So that's why the
yeah,
5 year time gap was so necessary because in
yeah,
like the way in the planet ended where they killed the new Thanos. Finally,
yeah,
I love that scene when I went for the head when he says then chop off his head,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I went for the head. Loved it. Like after coming from that, the time gap has to be there. Otherwise, we
yeah, yeah.
we
True.
wouldn't know the aftermath of the snap. If they hadn't
Yeah.
like if they like continued it with the snap na like 1 year, people wouldn't know the difference. Like what
Like
they have.
then there's no much impact of his time because
Yes,
it's 5 years. You
exactly,
really
exactly.
see what the characters went through.
Exactly.
Yeah,
For
that's very
personally,
true. Like
and I think for me personally, I love the first act of Endgame. The way they decided to go with the character na, like there was
yeah,
not
yeah.
like, except that.
I
Yes,
See,
yes, go
I
on.
was very surprised. I was very surprised to see how well, like especially when rewatching it, I was like, you know what? I think I like this one more than Infinity War. Like I
Ex-
never thought I did,
You
but
know,
now like rewatching it, I was like,
man, they finally went on with the human side of the character. They
yeah, that's the best thing. Yeah, exactly.
Huh. That we were not like, we all know those are superheroes, like
Yeah,
much bigger, powerful, and all. But we were never shown the opposite side of there. Like the
true, true, true. The
each and
vulnerable side.
exactly
Yeah,
each and every Avenger which survived the snap was totally lost themselves.
yeah, yeah. True, true.
Didn't know anything like what to do now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were so helpless,
That's very
and it
true.
was
Yeah,
perfectly portrayed in that first act. I loved it
yeah.
totally. Like I was,
Like dude, the scenes between Black Widow and Captain America, like you really feel their pain.
Natasha, like Scarlett Johansson really killed on.
She did an awesome job, and she did
Awesome.
such a good. I think Endgame was her best performance as Black Widow. Like,
True.
sure, the movie's still coming out, but still, like
Yeah.
until now,
Huh.
yeah, we will talk about that in the last
Yeah.
segment.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but I think Endgame was a beautiful culmination of everything coming together in the MCU.
True.
Like even in the first scene, there's a scene between Tony and
Uh,
Steve Rogers where Tony gets really angry at him. He's like I wanted to put an arm around this world,
oh,
but you were too worried
uh,
about the freedom of everyone.
uh,
And like that scene, I thought Robert Downey Jr.'s acting was like spectacular.
awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah,
The
really.
fight.
And he even talks about the vision he had.
Yes.
Like he said that like I had a vision then and then, but yeah. But anyway, it was really well done.
Mhm.
I thought that scene.
True. True. True.
Then you have like Tony going and meeting his parents and like not parents, his dad, and again a very beautiful scene. Like they did such a good job in giving all of these characters good
And
character
I
arcs.
love.
Like that's why I was so satisfied. Like I was like they did everything I asked for. Like they did, and they did more also.
I see, as a Tony Stark stan, I still hate Russo what they did, but as a fan, but deep down in my heart, I know.
As a movie fan, you appreciate what they did.
Yes, deep down in my heart, I
Yeah,
always will be thankful for what
yeah,
they did, because they actually wrapped up
yeah,
his arc completely and perfectly.
yeah, yeah,
I loved it.
yeah. True, true,
That
true.
face.
I'm just looking.
Hmm.
Yeah, true, true. No, no, nothing. Continue, continue.
So I still remember the phase when Tony Stark's like he gives this expression when in the final, like, I'm sorry I'm skipping ahead, but in the final act when Strange shows
Yeah.
him like the one,
Oh,
and
dude, that was
he goes
spectacular. Like,
goosebumps just by thinking of this, right?
yeah,
That scene, like, and the expression he give, Robert Downey, the expression he give,
yeah, yeah,
he realized that this was it. It was supposed to be him all the way.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
uh,
I think we need to also talk about Black Widow's
Chris,
sacrifice.
man, like
The
I didn't thought that I would have a pretty much like big impact of her death, but the way they shot that whole
yeah.
scene, like I was actually on the
Oh man, like it was neck
yes,
and neck. I honestly thought Hawkeye was gone.
like,
Like, and but then they, like, oh man, that was really well done.
and when actually that scene happened in Black Widow, like Scarlet makes that jump, now I thought of her like
Yeah.
I didn't have anything, but then I got
Mm.
you all guys. Though I think she made that
Yeah,
switch
yeah,
in
yeah.
Avengers, no? Or Age of Ultron with Diana.
Maybe,
Like
maybe.
that.
Like I think that's only been the one issue is that like some of the characters like Black Widow and Hawkeye like aren't as developed as some of the other
Hmm,
ones in the original
hmm.
six. But still, I think they've done a pretty good job with
Yeah,
everything that they had. Um, we need to talk about the Cap Hammer scene.
Oh my God, Mjolnir.
Oh,
And like,
like that was kind of like the Thor entrance in Wakanda
that,
moment, but I don't think it's as impactful. But still, it's such an awesome scene.
like we see in the Avengers Age of Ultron, it was we were teased like Cap could lift the
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mjolnir, but there were
Didn't the writers explain why he couldn't lift it, right?
no. Yeah, actually, I read about this one. Like people were like making these theories that he's not half worthy and all that. See, I read a few of the
Yeah,
comics and the like conclusion or overview of it. I read that there is no such
yeah,
thing as half worthy. Either he can or he can't.
yeah.
It's just a fact.
No, but I don't. Look, I'm not sure about this, but I think I read the tweet from the writers that because he held the secret of Bucky,
Huh.
that's the reason why he was not worthy in Age of
A
Ultron.
day before too, na,
I
the
read,
1 year anniversary on the 1 year anniversary, they did like a
yeah. I think I read that.
Q&A
Yeah,
session with the comicbook.com. Yeah, I read that too. In yes, they have actually written that
yeah.
he was held back by the whole guilt, but
This, yeah,
guilt of not telling Tony about Buck and his parents. So, yes,
yeah. Yeah. I think that might be this. But anyway, that scene was absolutely great.
and that the joy in Thor's face. I knew it. I knew it all the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, I can't see that scene without listening to the audience applause. Like even when I see that scene simply, na, I can imagine the audience applause.
yes, true, true. The whole third act of Endgame, I think people may
Yeah.
disagree with me, but for me, the whole third act of Endgame is the biggest biggest action event ever. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
compare it with anything, and Endgame third act will
Yeah.
be much greater because it was
It's basically the MCU having fun with everything they created.
everything they like from the
Yeah.
movement. Cap on your left. Oh my God! And
Yeah. That's so good. Like,
the
look, my only ambition in life is to walk through a portal in slow motion in the end of a movie with the audience cheering for me. That's my only goal in life.
the whole third act
But
was
that was such
crazy.
a great moment. The portal scene in Endgame,
And,
absolute
and
joy.
just before that scene, when Steve actually straps his helmet in his hand tightly,
Yeah. That scene
oh
is so
God.
good.
And he was standing in front of the whole that Chittori army
Army of
along with
Thanos.
him.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Falcon came and on your left. Oh my God, the
Yeah.
portal start opening.
Like,
People like
look, and I just want to make a point here. Like, Black Panther is the first one to walk through the portal, and they
yes,
both like nod at each other. And
yes.
for me, like I read many things where they like Captain Marvel is the next leader for like the Marvel thing, but for me, I think it's going to be Black Panther because that nod that they both do with each other, it almost felt like a torch, like a flat torch bearing kind of thing. Like he's just passing on the torch to Black Panther to be the next kind of thing, like the next leader for the Avengers. Like I don't know. Like that was just my take of it.
See, I would love to see Black Panther leading the next series of Avenger, but
Yeah.
my bets will be on Strange or Spider-Man. I know
Like I
Spider-Man.
feel like
Yes,
I
yes,
feel like Spider-Man is not quite there yet. I feel like
yes.
after maybe 3 movies, maybe.
Hmm.
But I feel like Black Panther is the most like suited to
But
lead a team.
that's the thing about like with T'Challa, the greatest thing is he doesn't like in the whole like the Black Panther movie, he was never
Yeah.
acted in a way like he was the king or he wanted to be the king. He just
Yeah,
wanted
true.
to help people, and
Yeah.
that
But I mean, I'm just thinking about Infinity War. Like he was the one calling the shots in Infinity War, in spite of Cap being there.
true,
Like
true.
obviously because it's his place.
Maybe
And the army obviously answers to him, but still.
maybe Black Panther could take the place of Captain America in the new series of
Yeah.
Avenger, and Strange could take the place of Iron Man.
Obviously, I think that's how they're going.
This can make sense. I read, like
Yeah.
as you said, I read somewhere that Captain Marvel, they are going with Captain Marvel.
I feel
I'm
like Captain Marvel would fill that Thor position.
yes, exactly my point.
I
See,
feel like like that would be better, I think.
especially like for a viewer who
And
has like,
to all the people out there, we are not sexist, okay? We
ah,
like Captain Marvel a lot. But we just feel like, like better suited leader would be Black Panther.
that's a really good thing you brought that up. I'm really glad now.
Like, because people get so mad over Captain Marvel. I'm like, oh my god, just calm down. Anyway, I think that's reserved for another day, that topic. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, like we went off a tangent a little bit. We talked about the future, but I think we'll get back to the future again. But
Mhm.
for me, there's one scene in Endgame between Iron Man and Spider Man, like when they both meet again for
Uh,
the first time, and then Iron Man just hugs him. And for me, like it reminded me of Homecoming, because in Homecoming, there's a scene where they are both in the limousine, not a
mhm.
limousine, I think in their car,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
Tony like goes together. And I don't know, it
Uh,
reminded me of that scene.
true,
Like
true.
I don't know, it felt like a callback. It probably wasn't a callback, but it
Mm,
reminded me of that scene. Like
true.
really, really well. I really like the relationship between Tony Stark and Peter
I
Parker.
loved it, man. That really was
It was
wow.
it
Like
was
I
very
can't.
nice. Yeah.
Very, very good. Like the whole reunion
Yeah.
scene of Tony and Spider, where they don't say anything to each other, but they just hug each other and
Yeah.
in,
Yeah. It was a very special scene. Yeah.
very,
Then oh yeah, even there's one more scene which I thought was a callback where Black Panther, like he takes Hawkeye's when Hawkeye is running with the gauntlet and he's
Mhm.
like thrown out. Black Panther literally like lands in front of him and he said, "Clint, give it to me." Like
I
in Civil War, he said, "My name is Clint Barton." He's, "I don't care what your name is." But here's like, "Clint, give it to me. Like I will take it." Like I don't know. It felt like a very nice. It felt like a respectful moment where he's like giving respect to Hawkeye.
true, true, true.
Yeah,
That's actually a
yeah,
good catch. Nice catch, Manoj.
yeah. Then I mean, I was just rewatching it, so I just like you like all podcasts will talk about the normal things. I was just trying to find things which other people might not notice.
True, true, true. And
Yeah, I,
in fact, I
yeah,
think
yeah, continue.
about it, but I want to tell the audience if anyone is listening. Like
Yeah,
after watching Endgame, like it's been a whole 1 year. I haven't rewatched it. Not in fact Endgame, any Marvel movie, because
and you still remember it so well.
I do because as I said, MCU is not just another movie franchise for me. It's like
Yeah,
it's 10 years of my life. Like it's
yeah.
half my age. I it's
Like I thought of rewatching it. Like I rewatched a
I
couple of movies
I
in the
can't,
MCU
man.
before this.
Man, I just can't. The fact that with how Endgame, like, I will always be reminded of like Tony Stark, Tony Stark. That's right. Like, I
Yeah,
really like.
yeah,
I'm looking forward for the future lineup, which we'll talk about
yeah.
in few minutes. But I don't think if I can watch the previous movies.
Yeah, true, true. I think I would say like Endgame, one of the best finales in film history.
I have one of the best, the best. I'm saying right now,
The best.
the best, because
Like I feel like there are movies like I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, but like
uh,
Deathly Hallows Part Two didn't really come like that was also epic. That movie, that movie also has a special place in my heart, but it doesn't come close to what Endgame has done.
yes, especially like I the Harry Potter and like Avengers, the way they decided to end like the Deathly Hallows Part One was absolutely brilliant. I love the first
Yeah,
first
yeah.
part of Deathly Hallows.
Even I absolutely love Part One.
Same goes with Infinity War. But after that,
Yeah,
like what was like, I was really skeptical about the Endgame because I don't know how you can break something of Infinity War.
how can you pull it off? Like,
Yes,
how can you pull off a satisfying ending where
Infinity.
all the fans are like, making theories and making their own like ways of how they would end Endgame? Like, how do you satisfy all of them? And this movie actually did it.
Did it in a wonderful way.
Yeah, they did it wonderfully. I think that's a good note to end on Endgame.
There's one more thing I want to say. There's one theory which everyone
Oh,
should talk about,
okay,
but I have not seen anyone talk it in that detail, which I was thinking of. See, the whole
okay.
ending of Captain America.
Ah,
Huh,
that's a tricky
yeah.
one. Yeah.
See, for many, see that some pointers I want to like mention before that. Captain America came,
Okay.
went in the past and came back as
Hmm.
old with the shield in his hand.
Yeah.
So know that
Yeah.
like with super serum, I have read in some comic that super serum reduces your age by half. So the age,
Yeah.
the age which he returned back, he wouldn't have that much age for another 100 years in the current timeline.
True. True.
So, like, I've seen many theories about it. I've read and tried to go into depth about it, but I have seen people saying,
Mm.
he just go back in the time and fix things with Peggy, and he just come back." See, there are many aspects of that.
And there are some people who say that that was the timeline is that he was always supposed to go back.
Yes.
So Peggy's husband was always him.
Now, here, see, for those who have watched The Agent of Carter, the whole first season was based on the
Yeah.
fact of Peggy moving on from Captain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Too, I think his butler. I think like Tony Stark's butler, not Tony Stark's, Howard Stark's butler. I think, right?
Yes, 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 yes. See, now
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
in Winter Soldier, like it was in Winter Soldier where
Mm.
Civil War, sorry, in Civil War when Peggy was shown, like she was just about to die, and she was having this conversation with Cap Steve. Hey,
That was Winter Soldier, I
Winter
think.
Soldier, okay,
Yeah.
it was Winter Soldier, maybe. So she says to Steve that her only regret is she gets to live her own time, but he doesn't. So
Yeah.
that totally,
Okay. So it doesn't line up exactly.
that totally crossed over
Yeah.
that
Okay.
theory of Captain America, like being the his husband.
Okay.
Now my theory is he went back. See, before going to my theory, one more catch is that
Mm.
if he had went back in the past and met Peggy and decided to go with her, remember the thing he
Mm.
had, like there was also one theory that there are two caps in one timeline, and in the like in the
Yeah.
Peggy's funeral, the old Steve is right beside the young Steve.
Okay.
There was this theory. So I was like, this is totally obnoxious now. So because if like
Yeah. Go on. Go on.
if Captain America decided to go like makes her move with Peggy and decided to live with her and marry her and etc etc, you know,
Yeah.
it also means that he decided to keep quiet with all the Hydra operation with his friend Bucky torturing at that time. He
Mm.
knew everything now because he was from the future. He could have just easily
Yeah.
fixed those errors, but he didn't. So that's totally against Captain America's character or the he was playing. So that can't be it also.
Okay.
So now my theory is he went back and
Mm.
see, the main link behind Hydra is Dr. Zola. Because after Captain America
Yeah.
First Avenger, Red Skull died, we all thought that Hydra would have completely wiped out. But Dr. Zola kept it alive. So I think he
Yeah.
went back in time, he killed Dr. Zola as well. So that way, there
Yeah.
won't be any Hydra. If Hydra wasn't there, Howard
Okay.
Stark would be alive. And if Howard Stark would be alive, there won't be any Iron Man.
Yeah. He would probably be just that brat
Yes,
we saw in
huh,
the first movie.
yes, huh. A- and afterwards there won't be like too much of this. So that created a new timeline in which there was
Okay.
no such thing. Captain America used like with technology, he removed the super serum so he can age normally and have a peaceful life with Peggy. In that, so that is a totally different timeline. So he then
Okay.
came back from that timeline to this current timeline to give Sam the Captain America shield.
So, but how does he come? Like he uses the PIM particles, or
See, it is a like Marvel is a pretty like when the Tony Stark was first shown, we thought that he was the most intelligent one. He made all the gadgets and all. But
okay? So you're leaving it open ended as to how he comes back.
yes, and no, and it was pretty justified actually, no? Because before Shuri character arrived, we all were under the impression that Tony Stark was the smartest. But then Russo clearly said that
Yeah,
Shuri is the smartest character. So, and with all her new
yeah,
invention is possible, no? They have created PIM particle in the
yeah. Okay.
space. The and yes, I remember now one thing in Ant-Man, first
Mm.
Ant-Man movie, where the pimp, the Vaz's father, he he
Yeah,
kind of
Hank Pym.
Hank Pym, he told Howard Stark that he stolen the Pym particles, and that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
they decided to part their ways. So maybe
Okay, okay.
when Captain America,
Okay, so you're trying to connect
yes,
it
when
that
Captain
way.
America went back in time and he
Okay,
stole that
okay.
four Pym particle for the heist, we all know that in Endgame it
Yeah,
was shown that. So
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
he's
yeah,
doing,
yeah, yeah.
and if he hadn't, like, he corrected all those things, and in a new timeline there is no such threat. That is a totally different timeline altogether. Huh.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it could be possible, I think. Like, I personally, I didn't really think
Hmm.
too much about it. I was just happy that Cap got his last dance,
True.
last or first dance, like whatever. Like, he gets back, he
Hmm,
gets his
true.
relationship back. And I thought it was a beautiful ending for the character. Like, I didn't think a lot about this logistics
Huh.
of timelines,
That's a fun thing.
but I think it's an interesting theory. It's an
I really
interesting
want,
theory that you
like,
have.
the people who knows about this thing, I really want to comment them down and like tell me their view on this thing.
Yeah. Or you can hit Jay up in Twitter. We'll leave the handles in the end.
We'll see about it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, very quickly, we'll just talk about the future
Yes,
of the
yes.
MCU. So we talked a little about the team. Like we talked about like Black Panther maybe
Hmm.
becoming the hero. We talked about Doctor Strange maybe taking up Iron Man's
Hmm.
position a little bit. I think Captain Marvel maybe filling in for
Maybe.
Thor. Then I think maybe Shuri coming in for Hulk. Like not Hulk in terms of physicality, but in terms of brain maybe in the team, like Bruce
True. Could
Banner.
be. Could be.
Yeah, could be. Like, then who else? Like, obviously, I think the Sony Marvel deal will go well. Like, there are some hindrances there. That's the only thing stopping Spider-Man from, like, crossing over forever
Hmm.
in Marvel. But I think they will sort that out. I, because like, Spider-Man was cancelled for
Yes.
a while.
Pretty
Like,
shocking.
after Far From Home, then, yeah, but then he got, I don't think they will
No,
let
no,
him
they
go.
won't. They won't.
I think Disney will
Yes, they
figure out
will.
some way, like
Because
from
uh,
what I understand. But like I think yeah,
he
Spider-Man would be a pretty permanent fixture in
he
the
wa-
Avengers lineup.
he's young as well. No, he's like, so with all the new.
He has so much potential. Like I think I think one more movie in school itself, I
Hmm.
think. I forgot what grade he is in the last one, but I think there might be one more movie and like these three would be like the school trilogy. And then you would have more of him becoming an adult in the next three
Like
movies.
if you're talking about the future of MCU, I really wanted to have one thing, which is like uh, the Sinister Six.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel like Homecoming, Far From Home, all these movies has done a really good job
Yes,
in setting
exactly.
up all the villains. Like because you already have Vulture, you already have
True,
Scorpion.
true, true. We have all those character. I really want Peter Parker to go against the Sinister Six because that will be the
Yeah,
completion of his Avengers arc.
that would be a good last movie, I
Yes,
think, for
perfect.
Spider-Man.
Standalone. From standalone point of view, that
Yeah,
should be the last Spider-Man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. True, true, true. Yeah, that'll be good. Like, and they shouldn't rush it. Also, they should like keep
Yes,
introducing these
yes, please.
villains.
Like take two or movies more. I don't
Yeah,
mind, but just do it. I think they will.
yeah. Because I think I Homecoming did such a good job in introducing these
Yes.
villains. Like I'll get back. I'll talk about Homecoming some other
No,
day.
no, we can.
Okay, okay. In terms of Disney Plus series, we have I think
Winter
Falcon
Soldier.
and
Yes.
Winter Soldier. Yeah. I was going to say Falcon and Bucky, and I'm like, that's not right.
Like
Yeah, that's a pretty exciting one. We also have a Hawkeye
yes,
series I think coming. There were some legal troubles with that. I think Jeremy Renner was accused for
Ari.
some.
That.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, like unfortunately, like we don't know how true
Mm.
that is, but
like whatever it is, we
That's a
hope,
controversial
like
topic. We
justice
should skip it.
prevails. Yeah, like, we hope justice
Yes, yes.
prevails for whoever was the
Hmm.
affected, like
Yes.
individual in that case, like be it
Huh.
Jeremy Renner or
Then there
the
is
other person in the case. Because like nowadays it's so hard to talk about these stuff because ever since Johnny Depp and
Are
Amber Heard had that the huge controversy, like people are scared to talk about who's the guy
yes.
to blame here. So that's why we're not going to blame anyone. We're just going to leave it at that.
Sooner sooner
What
or
else
later
is there?
truth prevails. So I guess yes,
Truth
exactly.
prevails,
Huh.
yeah.
Now
Obviously,
coming to
obviously, yeah.
stage, huh.
That's
There
spoken.
is WandaVision. There is Loki.
WandaVision, yeah, that
See,
looks
for me,
interesting.
I'm excited about Loki very much.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing,
Like
I
I
think.
want to go back to Endgame, the second act ending.
Yeah, yeah, that scene, dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Loki took the Tesseract and went back, and the makers confirmed that that created another timeline. And the new, like the Loki
Yeah,
series,
yeah,
it will feature of all those things which Loki did in that timeline. So that,
yeah, yeah. It'll be amazing.
like I am mostly curious about it. The reason because is that we are always getting series about heroes, right? Heroes fighting villain,
yeah, yeah,
protagonist fighting antagonist. But now finally,
yeah,
Loki, who was earlier an antagonist but later made his connection with his acting and his persona, Tom Hiddleston made this connection with the audience. Now he's kind of a protagonist.
yeah,
He's a bad.
yeah. True, true,
I would
true.
love to see a bad guy against
I
a
think he
bad guy.
would evolve to become like an anti-hero kind of a character, I think.
Could be, totally.
Yeah, yeah. I think towards like through the course of the show, I think you'll see him becoming more
Yes,
anti-hero. In terms of movies, I think we have Black
yes,
Widow coming, which has been delayed. I think it was supposed to come tomorrow, I think.
yes. It was supposed to come in summer, but now it
Yeah.
has pushed back to November 6th, 2020.
Okay.
Uh,
Like that movie, I'm excited, but I'm like when they first announced there's a Black Widow movie coming, I thought it's going to be a movie about Black Widow and Hawkeye and their journey to Budapest. Like in that scene, there's a scene where they're going to
hmm,
Warmil and they're like in the space station, like in the jet or whatever. And
hmm,
then like Hawkeye tells Natasha that we are a long way away from Budapest.
hmm.
And I don't know, I was like very intrigued about that story. I don't know if we'll ever get that, but this story also seems interesting. I guess. I think it'll do well. I think.
The thing is, like when they announced Black Widow movie, now I really wasn't know what to expect from that movie because in Endgame we saw her
Yeah,
die. So
yeah.
I get that there is
I
something.
think it'll be more of a celebration of the character. I think.
And I heard like Kevin Feige tell, I think in San Diego Comic Con, in some another Comic Con, he told that that will set
Mm.
up the new Avenger like phase. That will be the setup for the next movies, Marvel movies.
Okay, so Black Widow is setting up Phase 4. Basically,
Yes,
it's starting Phase 4.
yes, exactly. Just like
Okay, so Far From Home was part of the last
yes,
phase.
Far From Home was the end of Phase 3. Phase 3, na? Phase 3.
Okay, okay.
Phase
So
3 or Phase 4?
okay,
I'm really confused in all this.
three. I think
Yes,
four
3.
is too much.
Yes.
Three, yeah. I mean, you can correct us, listeners,
uh,
like with our none. But yeah, yeah, I guess. Okay, I mean, I'm interested. I'm interested. I think Taskmaster is a villain in that, and I think he could become a player in the Avengers series. Like, I think we'll see more of him. I don't think. I hope they don't kill him off in Black Widow.
we all know they will kill because
Yeah. Trying to be optimistic for Taskmaster. Like, I'm like, come on, man, you can live.
see the protagonist of that
Live
movie,
your
right?
life,
So
Taskmaster.
what's the point of antagonist living? I know that sounded cold, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Okay, now, really quick before we wrap the
Hmm.
podcast, the first episode, 5 favorite movies of MCU. Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one is going to surprise everyone, I think. It's Homecoming.
Oh, first one, like your most favorite movie.
Yeah, that's my most favorite
Oh,
movie. That's the movie that I
mm,
connect. That's the one movie I can put on anytime.
okay.
Like I feel like if you want to know more of me as a person, you just watch Homecoming.
Okay.
There are a few movies like that I have. Like, I'm like, there's Homecoming, there's Final Days of Summer. There are a few movies like that.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying, okay, these are like similar movies, but they're all movies of different genres. But I mean, there are some movies that become really close to you. And I think Homecoming is one for
Hmm.
me. Like, it's like, I'll one day talk about it a lot more, but Homecoming is my most favorite movie in the MCU. Second would be, it was Infinity War, but now I'm going to say Endgame.
Oh, nice, nice.
Like, I just rewatched it today and I feel like Endgame kind of became my second favorite one.
Hmm.
Third, we have Infinity War.
Hmm.
Then fourth, we have Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one.
Okay.
And fifth, we have the first Iron Man movie.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, now you go.
Mine is. I know people will guess it anyway, but I will say like
I mean, no one is listening, man. Don't worry.
see, I can't track them actually. I've never thought it of ranking. Like I will say in no particular order. What particular order?
Okay.
It's Iron Man 1,
Okay.
Iron Man 3,
Okay. I really like Iron Man 3.
it's Avengers
Yeah.
1,
Okay. First one.
first one, Infinity War and
Okay.
Endgame. So basically,
Okay.
3 Avengers movies
3 Avengers films
and
and 2 Iron Man
no,
movies.
5 Iron Man movies. Iron Man was in all of those.
The lack of diversity in your picking is appalling.
Hey, it's my favorite. Okay, don't.
I know. I'm just joking. I think it's a pretty good pick. Listeners of the show, okay, I mean, if there are any listeners, please let us know your 5 favorite
Hey,
movies
Manoj,
as well
no,
in the MCU.
one thing. Sorry,
What?
sorry for interrupting. Like,
No,
I
no.
really forgot about one thing I wanted.
No, you can't interrupt me.
I'm just,
No, go
I'm
on,
just
go.
courteous enough. So, when talking
Yeah.
about the future of MCU, I want to talk about one specific movie which I'm really excited. Two,
Eternals.
now three. Yeah, Manoj. So
Okay, what was the one movie?
I thought I was speaking about Doctor Strange. Then I realized I want to speak. There is something I want to tell viewers about Black Panther. Then you called Eternals. I was like, no, I want to talk about that also. I forgot. So, like, we'll talk about all.
Do it
Just
very
quickly.
quickly.
See, Eternals, I'm very
Yeah.
much excited about because they're bringing Celestials. And I really want to see
Yeah.
that side of the world from the cosmic point of view. That is like
Yeah.
whole. And I
Yeah, true,
think
true.
maybe we can get a glimpse of Galactus.
Oh, wait, the rights came
Yes,
over,
the right.
right? It's not with Fox
But
anymore.
I'm not really hoping that they will bring Galactus such quick after like Phase 3 has barely ended and people hadn't forgotten.
I think they'll take their time.
And they
I
will
think they'll
take
take
much.
their time.
Eternal. This and
Yeah.
second is Black Panther. See, the
Hmm.
antagonist of the Black Panther, I'm betting on Namor and Atlantis, which I really wanted to see, especially after what James Wan did with Aquaman. And but
Aquaman, yeah, true. I think it'll be very good. And they already tested with Aquaman. Like, the
yes,
technology
and
is
it's
there,
an MCU
definitely.
movie after all. And with Aquaman, Atlantis, I
Yeah,
really
true.
can't wait for that one. Now, third, which is my most anticipated movie for the next phases and in the up. No,
Eternals.
it's Doctor Strange. There.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
Multiverse of Madness. Sam Raimi is
yes,
directing
the
it.
thing is, earlier Scott Derrickson was supposed to direct the movie, but due to creative difficulties, he left it. Now
Yeah,
same Remy has come. Now there's
yeah.
like in San Diego Comic Con panel, Kevin Feige, sorry, Scott Derrickson told that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will be the first movie of MCU which will kind of tease you as a horror one.
Yeah. But I think they might
Yes,
strip off those elements now because
but really, like, I think the villain is going to be. I heard somewhere that it's not eternity. I think it was death. There was this one very powerful creature. I think it was celestial. There was very one powerful creature who was supposed to be there in Doctor Strange. I don't know his name at that moment of time. And the
okay.
third reason why I'm excited about it, Scarlet Witch is also going to be there.
Yeah. And it's going
Yes.
to be the multiverse. Like they'll be exploring some part of the multiverse. That's exciting
Mhm.
to
Especially
see.
because in the Doctor Strange, we were like shown Dormammu, which is like which is a celestial and
Yeah,
much
yeah, yeah.
powerful than a celestial.
But it feels so
Yeah,
long ago,
truly.
Doctor
And I
Strange
think
came.
Doctor Strange is one of the most underrated Marvel movies till date. Because
Yeah.
like the visuals of that movie, I still remember the first time seeing that movie in 3D. I was like blown away by the whole the VFX,
Yeah, yeah.
man, was pretty epic. So coming that up,
It felt very
oh
Inception
yes,
like, but still
exactly. Like
cool.
that was these are the my three
Yeah,
bets for the next phase.
true. Okay, okay, so as we said before, like if you have five favorite movies in the MCU that you want to share, then you can hit us up. You can hit us. We are not exactly sure where
Mhm.
all we'll be uploading this. We're still sorting out the technicalities of running a podcast, but we'll see. You can find me at the Manoj Matthew in Twitter and Instagram. Jay, your social media
Mm,
handles.
let's keep that secret for a while. I really have to reshuffle my
Oh my god.
because there are so many things in my Twitter handle which I don't think people should see at the moment.
Okay, then the
Mhm.
listeners can just hit me up and ask me
And
what I need to ask Jay.
don't worry about the viewers. Like we have one channel in the we have one page in the Instagram which we will add in the description. If you want to go to it, please do.
Yeah,
And
yeah, true. We're still sorting things out. It'll take a few episodes
yes,
probably for us to like to get that
true.
rhythm, I guess. We're hoping that this is all recorded. That's also
It-
we both are pretty far away. We're doing this from different places, so we're not exactly sure how the logistics is going to work. But look, if like
I
I enjoyed this a
man, I
lot.
like
Did you enjoy this?
as I said in the beginning, I was really nervous about it. But then your idea, like probably no one will listen to this. That really kind of
Yeah, that
that
really
was little.
encouraged you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we also would be having a YouTube channel based on snippets that we do in the podcast. We again still working out the logistics of that, but hopefully, by the next episode, hopefully we'll have
Yes,
something
for
more
sure.
concrete to tell you. I guess with
Hmm.
that we're winding up the show. Jay,
Yes,
any
I
last
want to
thoughts?
say like we have kind of ended it in open-ended way. So if there is anything you want, like from for the audience, I'm telling like if there is anything you want to talk us about or react to anything, we would
Yeah,
love your
topics, sure.
feedback because
Like, yeah,
it has to be a two-way communication, other than me and Manoj talking.
yeah, true. Like, I mean, either that was the two-way communication, both of us talking.
That really doesn't count.
That doesn't make any sense what I just said, though.
It's like creating a group of two people in WhatsApp. You have a separate chat and like
Yeah,
don't create.
we and yeah, I mean, like, I guess with that we are ending the first episode. Oh, it feels
Yes.
very epic, like the first episode, the first and
Yes.
only episode.
Let's not say only.
Okay, so next week we are hopefully going to cover the DCEU, and we'll speak in detail of
Yes.
that as well, like we covered the
Mhm.
MCU today. Thank you to the listeners for basically bearing with us through these 2 hours. I think I'm not sure what the count is now, but thank you to all the listeners. And Jay, any
No,
final thoughts?
just please listen to our podcast if you really like this. Share it with your friends. Like, uh,
Yeah, sure. I mean, if it doesn't embarrass you, sure, go ahead
I
and share with your
want to.
friends. Okay, then with that, I think we're
Yes,
concluding the
yes.
podcast. Thanks all for listening, and everyone, all you guys out there, have a great
And
day.
be safe and stay in your home. Enjoy your quarantine period while it lasts.
Yeah. Oh
Bye
yeah.
bye.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Bye.
Goodbye then.